Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing.
Dan Illman, Mike Beer here at beautiful Pimlico, getting set for the Preakness Stakes on Saturday. One of the major races on the undercard is also for 3-year-olds. Race number 10 is the Sir Barton. It's $100,000 at a mile and a 16th. It's for 3-year-olds which have never won a stakes race, and maybe, just maybe, a prep for the Belmont.
Could be. We'll see if somebody can really up their game here, Dan, and find that really big breakthrough win. 9-5 on your morning line favorite, Corporate Power. He's got something to prove.
He's got some things to prove, to be sure, and I think that just shows that if you want to try and bet against Corporate Power, there might be some interesting price players, and I don't see a ton of speed in this race. No. Timeform US doesn't see a lot of speed in this race. Let's check out the Timeform US pace projector. Do you agree with this assessment?
I mean, I'm not going to say I disagree with it. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with Tuscan Sky here for Todd Pletcher off of a, let's be honest, pretty dismal performance in his stakes debut last time at Aqueduct. He just did not run well that day. He certainly has enough speed to go forward in here if that's the way they decide to play it. I personally, Dan, the more I looked at the race, I think you're going to get some speed out of the 10 Imperial Gun in this race.
I think this is going to be a jockey's race, and if that's the case, few better than Joel Rosario, who used this horse's speed last time out to an improved effort. And with this outside post, you don't want to be hung out 4 wide on the first turn. You got to be aggressive at some point in the opening quarter mile. Let's start things off with the number 1 Deposition, a horse that hasn't proven he's a stakes horse just yet, but the Wood Memorial we can just throw out. He fell down, he was vanned off. Good to see him back on the track.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, at least we know all is well after that Wood Memorial, because he actually ran. He was never going to win that race, Dan, but he certainly was outrunning his odds at the time that that unfortunate spill happened there. He's back. I guess you could just assume everything is well with this horse. He still has to improve here.
Uriah St. Louis horses, they usually outrun their odds when they do run well. And this horse was 70-1 3 starts back in the Withers. He got big 3 lengths by Uncle Heavy, who's going to be showing up later on in the Preakness. Real Macho's another horse who's getting a little bit of class relief. You want a first level allowance going a 1-turn mile. He beat a very highly touted horse who I'm not sure is very good in Born Noble that day, and he was just in over his head in his last 2.
Yeah, true enough. He wasn't too tough in his last 2. I still wanted to see him do some running in those races, and he didn't really do anything. That being said, if you go back to the 87 buyer, he earned winning 3 starts back. It gives him a chance in here.
And I think he's tactical as well. I think if he breaks, he can sit in a nice spot going into the first turn while saving valuable ground. Circle P's an interesting case, and being on the Mid-Atlantic region and at Laurel, I've been able to follow him. He is very green, and he doesn't know what he's doing at times. And he and Sheldon Russell just got into a wrestling match last time in the Tessio.
Yeah, you probably want to give him the benefit of the doubt for that one. It certainly didn't work out. And then you can just ask yourself, do you want to bet him off of any of his prior races, which are good, and they were at least headed the right way at that time before the disaster in the last one.
The private terms, I guess, was okay. He finished behind the 3 favorites. He had to come 4 wide turning into the stretch. When you look at this horse, you think distance, and the more I watch him run, the more I'm thinking maybe he's a late-running 1-turn horse.
There you go.
Up next is D-Day Sky, a horse that really did well. First time for this new barn. Very underrated trainer, by the way, Michel Giangiulo. This horse scored last time out as the chalk, going 1 mile and 1/8. And what I liked about it was he was a little bit more handy.
I like that about him too. Boy, he beat a subpar field in my opinion last time, and boy did he work hard to get it done there. Overall I wasn't thrilled with his victory last time. That being said, I was sort of interested in him earlier in his career. I thought his first few starts were actually pretty good and pointed him out as a horse of some potential. So more than anything else, Dan, I'm just interested that this is where they run him right off the maiden win.
Shug McGahee has Corporate Power, a horse that sold for $925,000 as a yearling. Like many Shug first-time starters, ran like he probably needed the race over a kind of a speed track at a distance that was a little bit shorter than his best. He looked good second time out, winning as the favorite, although he seemed green, and he seemed very green last time out. I don't think he cared for the slop, A. But B, they're asking him a half mile to go, and he started to pick it up, and then he's on his left lead again. Maybe the blinkers are finally going to just straighten him out.
Yeah, we'll see. They're going to try an equipment change here. There was also the wet track last time. He gets wired by a horse who actually ran a fast race that day. So all in all, he ran fine last time. I feel like, listen, I won't be surprised when he takes a step forward here and he's tough in this race. He's very lightly raced. He could be good. He beat an okay horse when he broke his maiden. I did not like that one.
Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez, they've got a Golden Sense colt in this 3-year-old race, and it's not the one you think. It's Gould's Gold, who won 2 starts back in a maiden special weight, and then ran a pretty good third in the Bathhouse Row, although no match for Imperial Gun, who's back in here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I didn't like about him. I didn't personally see a big trip excuse for this horse.
No.
In the most recent start, to me, he just wasn't good enough and certainly didn't run as well as Imperial Gun did when he got the win sprinting 2 starts back. It was with Lasix on, Lasix off.
Perhaps Mighty Message is coming into his own slowly for trainer Tom Amoss. He's won his last 2 starts on dirt, and they ran him in synthetic 2-back, and he ran into a runaway that day. This is a horse with good tactical speed, and that might be his best asset.
I agree with that. I think he can get the right trip in this race. He could be a fair price in here too, so I feel like you want to stay open to horses like this in a race like this, which kind of feels like there's no real standout on paper anyway. I like a lot of other horses here, Dan. He's coming off of maybe the best race of his life, so they're going to move him up at the right time.
Sometimes, again, it's easy not to overthink it. Tuscan Sky won his debut with an 89 buyer. He earned a 95 buyer in his second start, and while it was only a 3-horse race, he was chasing a speedy horse in Nash, who might not be a superstar, but had the advantage of having the lead in that race in a short field. Tuscan Sky kicked him down. I just don't know what to make of the Wood Memorial. He showed no interest from the start. It looked like maybe he was starting to get into things on the turn. He looked very uncomfortable in between horses. Todd's going with the blinkers, and I don't know what to think about that.
I don't either. He was just so bad in the Wood Memorial last time. Whether you liked him or not, and thought he was, worth betting at 5-2 or not, I think you still had to be disappointed in the performance that he showed up with that day. As you've already pointed out, his first 2 starts were good. I mean, I thought he ran really well in both of those races on wet tracks. We'll see if he can redeem himself here, Dan. I'm not taking a short price on him, but I won't be surprised when he runs well.
Up next is Daily Grind, and this horse sold for $1.35 million as a yearling, and he's still yet to win after 9 starts. It does look like he's slowly getting better. It does look like distance is okay for him. We've seen Lucas do this, though, in the past, Mike, and he does it at big prices.
Yeah,
the horse in the Black-Eyed Susan Lemon Muffin did it. I'm not sure if Daily Grind can do it, although this is the field if he's going to.
Exactly. If you're going to do it, maybe this is the spot to do it in. His last 2 races are pretty clearly the best races he's ever run. I do feel like the horse that beat him last time is okay, Dan. I still try not to get fooled by those 1.25-mile maiden races on dirt at Churchill Downs. To me, those races are for slow horses.
Imperial Gun ran last time out in the Bathhouse Row Stakes, getting a class drop after being overmatched against Preakness entrants Muth, Just Steel, and of course the Derby winner Mystic Dan in the Arkansas Derby. He was very eager in the early part of that race. He pulled his way along, but then he settled down into the pocket, split horses in the stretch. He kept trying against that Informed Patriot, who I think's okay.
I think he's okay too. And this horse was really game in that race. I thought it was another move in the right direction for him. I liked the first 2 starts of his career quite a bit, Dan. I thought he showed a lot of potential in those 2 races. Then he gets bumped at the start in his next race behind Seize the Great, and he winds up last. And then they ran him in the Arkansas Derby where he had no chance.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Sir Barton. You never know. Maybe you get a Belmont Stakes star or even a horse that could run in the Travers later this year. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I don't want the short prices in here. I don't want Corporate Power. I know he can win. I don't want Tuscan Sky. I guess he can win. I want Imperial Gun. I want an aggressive ride from the outside post here. I like his races more than anybody else.
Again, I think it could be a rider's race, and I want Rosario in that situation. I like Imperial Gun as well. I think that last race was a sign that he is starting to head in the right direction. It's the Sir Barton, the 3-year-old undercard stakes on dirt on Preakness Saturday here at Pimlico. Good luck.